Hi guys, and welcome back to another installment of Secret Graceland. So I usually choose pictures at random to create a well-rounded tour of the majority of the property, but this one is different. This time, you guys are guiding the tour. Before we get started, I'd like to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's totally online. With BetterHelp, you have access to a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists. It's easy. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your therapy needs and preferences. Then you're matched with a right fit for you. From there, you communicate with your therapist how you feel comfortable. Text, chat, on the phone, or even a video call. You can also message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions around your schedule. If you find your therapist isn't a right fit, you can switch to a new therapist, no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist custom chosen for you, with more scheduling flexibility and affordability. I've personally used BetterHelp services and found it to be both helpful and super convenient. You can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Ashley'sAdventures. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P. The link will also be in the description box. So recently I posed the question on Facebook, what kind of Graceland topic would you like to see in a Secret Graceland video? And got so many great comments. I told you that if I knew about the topic, I'll discuss it in the video. So I'm just gonna read the comments, share some photos from my files, and discuss that space about my favorite fun facts about it. So let's get started. Okay, so this first one, Jackson White says, I'm an upstairs fanatic, so anything regarding that, as well as the 50s era at Graceland. I'd love to see more pictures of Elvis inside the house as well. Nancy says, I like pictures of Elvis enjoying Graceland in the 50s and 60s. A few of you actually requested to see both Gladys at Graceland and Elvis inside the house, so those will be peppered in here and there. Like this photo of Gladys relaxing on a bench on the porch in this undated shot I saw in the trophy building a couple of years ago. Okay, Erica says, more of the dining room close-ups and the foyer, please. I love all of your videos. You got me through COVID. Thank you, Erica. And also the original TV room in the basement. I'd love to see what it looked like before the renovation in the 70s. Okay, so let's head into the house and start with the foyer. Just as you walk in the front door, there's something right above your head. Here's my photo of that spot in the corner next to the archway. In Ginger Alden's book, Elvis and Ginger, she describes Elvis shooting the toilet in his bathroom to get it to stop running. Elvis's housekeeper, Nancy Rooks, describes the aftermath in her book, Inside Graceland. Quote, I heard a very loud pop in the other room and went running into the foyer, which is located just underneath his upstairs bathroom, in time to see a fine mist of sheetrock dust, followed by a stream at first, and then a deluge of water pouring from the ceiling near the front door above the foyer. You can still barely see where the repair was made in the ceiling of the foyer as you first walk in the front door. End quote. On January 8, 1958, Elvis's birthday, Elvis spent time with a local polio survivor, 8-year-old Mary Kozlowski. She came over and they took a couple of photos right there near the front door. In this one, they're near the archway to the living room, which is in the background here. Now here is that same area now. Another cool peek at the foyer a few years later is this 1963 picture shared by collector Fred Whobrey, this time looking from the back of the hall, looking towards the front door. Some of the decor and carpet has changed from 1958. Let's move into the living room and see where some important pictures were taken. On March 23, 1958, the day before Elvis was inducted into the Army, the newspaper came over to interview him and his parents. They clearly look upset. These photos were taken in front of the white 15-foot couch, which was still blue at this time. Just a few months later, in June of that year, Elvis was on leave and went home. A photographer was there to capture this family portrait, albeit somber. The walls were blue, and there were satin curtains behind them. Here is that spot now. They were seated in this corner of the living room. I'm just noticing right now that it's the same lamp, but a different lampshade. In March of 1965, Elvis allowed photographers from the Commercial Appeal newspaper inside Graceland to do a photo shoot. This is one of my favorites of Elvis inside the house because the picture is so clear and we can see so much of the room. By this time, the couch is a reupholstered white. Then here is that same view today. Okay, this comment wanted to see the dining room, so let's look at all the eras. This photo from Graceland's archive shows Elvis reading his draft notice next to the Christmas tree in the dining room of Christmas 1957. The furniture was a white dining set. Not much had changed by the time this photo was taken in 1963, another Fred Whobrey share, similar yet so different from today. If you're interested in a deep dive into all the things we can see from just this one picture, I created a whole video about it. It is located here and in the description box. Moving forward to 1974, the house got a red makeover. This is the wall that faces the driveway, and the dining room chairs were switched out with these high-backed ones. These photos are from the picture book Inside Graceland. Sarah says the TV room. Okay, so let's go downstairs to the TCB room and take a look at this room in the early days. Taken in March 1960, there are some great photos in the basement den with the plain wood paneling before it became yellow and blue in the 1970s. Elvis is pictured here with fan club leader Joyce Gentry and a radio DJ. If you're interested, I go into more detail on that day as well as the furniture in this room in the video in the link at the top and also in the description box. Another photo from the 1960s is this gem. We can see more of the gold records lining the wall, and at this point there was just one TV, where today there are 3. Courtney says the jungle room. Patricia says the jungle room. The jungle room, or the den as Elvis and everyone else called it, has existed since 1965. In the early 60s, it was a screened-in porch that was added onto the back of the house that we can see in this great picture. In the show notes, I do my best to credit where I get materials from, but I have so much media saved, I don't remember where every piece came from, but I try my best. So in 1965, the permanent structure that we recognize today was added on. Here are Elvis and Priscilla with their new baby in that space in 1968. See the bar stools in the background? They are sitting in the middle of the room where this furry couch is today, bar in the back. What about when Elvis last saw it? This room was lived in, so it had a projector to watch TV on, with the seating arranged to face it. The wall facing the kitchen was a full wall, so the projector was put in front of it. The cutout was made in the 1980s, so tourists could look out into the room. So that's all you guys asked for of the rooms on the tour. Rob wants anything that shows more of the upstairs. So typically I keep what I share of the upstairs to a minimum. I know we're all curious, so everything I'm going to share here is public and already out there, whether shared online or in film. I'm not sharing anything private. So let's get oriented with the upstairs layout. The main staircase has a landing with a blue curtain that we can easily see on the tour. From there, it wraps around to the right, and you might know that there is a door there. Here is what it looks like in this picture taken from the landing in 1987 for People magazine. Those privacy walls were installed by Elvis in either the late 50s or early 60s with those windows. You can't really tell here, but there are a few steps that lead up to that door that Priscilla is sitting on. Here's a smidge of the landing in another Fred Whobrey share from 1963. You can see those few stairs easier, and you can also see that the door to the upstairs hallway is open. So let's look in. This is a still from This Is Elvis, a film from 1981 that was filmed inside Graceland, upstairs and down, and there's a lot to see. The open door on the left is the one that you can see from the foot of the stairs and still had carpet squares in 1981. To the right is the inside view of the two-way mirrors that you can see from downstairs. The padded double doors lead to Elvis's office, and to another set of double doors beyond that lead to his bedroom. The door straight ahead, I believe, leads to the attic. I know a bunch of you guys had attic questions. And we can also see a smidge of the tropical mural that's still there. Angie confirmed in a Gates of Graceland episode. So, let's go into Elvis's bedroom in a widely published photo from 1957. You might have seen this photo, typically a cropped version like this of Elvis standing in a bare room, kind of getting a feel for the space, but the actual full photo looks like this and was published in the Memphis Press Scimitar in March of 1957. This is actually his bedroom before he Elvised it, and I'll show you where exactly he's standing. See that door behind him? That's a small closet. Let's get oriented with the layout of Elvis's bedroom. So on the bottom right of this drawing is Elvis's bedroom. See those two squares on either side of the doorway that lead to the bathroom? There are zigzag little lines that show these are two closets. Nancy Rooks described this in her book. Quote, "There's a small hallway leading from his bedroom into the bathroom with a closet on either side. The one on the left held pajamas, robes, and slippers. The closet on the right held a small dorm-style refrigerator." So Elvis is standing near the future pajama closet. right next to a window that faces the driveway that today has a webcam in it. It's this upper left window here. Sergio, hi, I have a question. The room for the bodyguard upstairs is connected with Elvis's room, or is a door/wall between? I'm also fascinated by the attic. How is it accessed? Is there a proper staircase? Let's take another look at that layout and the dressing room that is on the bottom left. Since Graceland was built, this was a full room with 4 walls until Elvis came along. He opened the space so it kind of flowed beyond his bathroom to have essentially a large closet or dressing area. While we're looking at this, I'm still confused on the attic myself, but that door that we saw in the hallway picture is represented here in the middle with stairs and an arrow pointing up, just behind the primary bathroom. I'm not saying this with 100% certainty, but that's my understanding of the layout. Mary says, I've always been curious what the back of Graceland looks like, not the side, but the back. Let's start with what we're familiar with and then work backwards. The windows on the back of the house and on the left are in the downstairs bedroom that belonged to Elvis's parents. The door in the shadows underneath the awning leads to a small bedroom nicknamed the bird room because Elvis once kept a bird in there. The lower level chunk on the right is the jungle room that was added on in 1965, which created the sun deck above it. See the door at the top left of the deck with the 3 little windows? That's where the staircase inside the jungle room leads to. The door at the back of the deck with an iron covering goes to 𝐓𝐢𝐻 bedroom. That was originally 2 windows, but when the jungle room/sun deck was built, they were removed and replaced with 1 doorway. The long covered path on the right is where we walk when we exit. It's the old carport. Here's a closer look at where we leave the house from, which is between the jungle room and the annex, which we will talk about next. Here's another backwards view at that area. Today, the annex is a VIP exhibit you need a special ticket to access. In the early days of the tour, it was used as an office, but for most of Elvis's time here, it was an apartment that he let different people live in. But before that, from 1939 to about 1960-ish, it was a 4-car garage. Here's a photo from 1957 that shows the garage doors and no jungle room. In this view, left to right on the bottom level, the bird room door, kitchen door, and windows with the basement railing in front of it, Aunt Delta's bedroom window, which in the 30s and 40s was actually the servants' quarters, and then the garage. I hope that makes sense. Kirkley says the 2nd level upstairs of the racquetball building. So recently there have actually been special tours that go upstairs in the racquetball building. Let's look at some photos. Here's my photo from down on the court looking up at what I learned is called the viewing gallery. If you were upstairs, here is what it looked like in the 1980s. Probably looks quite similar today. There are a bunch of photos of this space up here in the racquetball building in the book Inside Graceland. But what's a particular gem is this blue tiled shower. If you'd like to see even higher, Fred Whobrey came through and shared these personal photos of his from the 1980s. Originally, the roof of the racquetball building had a track, but was renovated for repairs over time. But here is a view from the top. Patricia, I like to see the jumpsuits. Anne Rowe says, I would love to know more about the trophy room, aka the slot car room, also the barn. The trophy building was added onto the house in the mid-1960s, and originally it housed a slot car track. This is the main exhibit space that we know today. So behind you in this photo is the lobby area of the trophy building, and behind the wall in the back is the pool. Take note of those 2 vertical windows in the back. Here's another shot of one of the little cars in action. Sometimes the cars and parts of the track are on display, so a bunch of that still exists in the archive. Here's one of my photos taken inside the trophy building. The slot car track was gone, and Elvis and Priscilla had their 2nd wedding reception in here so that family and friends that didn't attend the Las Vegas ceremony could celebrate with the couple. See the 2 vertical windows in the back? This is roughly the same view today. The windows in the back of the main room in the trophy building now have a thick black curtain, but this is facing the pool. Gold records, awards, fan gifts, and art, they were all put in the trophy building and arranged in a sort of museum, even during Elvis's lifetime, like this photo in the mid-1970s. On the left wall are awards in a glass case, and the exit door leading to the pool. Now here is that same view today. But in the early days of the museum, the trophy building transformed so much over time. Here's a still from the Don Lane show from 1982, where the space is being prepared with a waist-high railing put around the middle of the room. Here's Tom Jones going through on a tour in the 1980s, where artifacts were on display in the open in the middle of the room. For a time, the jumpsuits and other recognizable Elvis outfits were hanging on a rack or on a mannequin. Keep in mind, the shops and museums across the street were still under different ownership in the early days, so mostly this was the museum space that they had. Luckily, as time went on and technology improved, artifacts, especially clothing, is kept in a climate-controlled case. Taylor, I've always wondered if there are pictures of inside the barn. Michelle, definitely the horses and his stables. Maggie May, how about more of the stables? Horses were such a huge part of their lives. The barn actually came with the property and housed Paul Herefords as part of Graceland Farm before Elvis. I go into a lot more detail in my video Graceland Before Elvis, as well as an entire video about all the pets that he had, with a huge part just on the horses in a video titled Presley Pets. Both of the links for those videos can be found in the description box. My Presley Pets video details all the horses' names, who was given horses, and when those horses died. But from Christmas 1966 on, Graceland has had horses. Here's Elvis's horse, Rising Sun, and Lisa Marie's pony, Mariah. Between Elvis's death in 1977 and the museum opening for tours in 1982, the horses and the barn were in really rough shape. Here's a modern view of the area surrounding the barn. In these photos from 1982, Priscilla is with Elvis's horse, Rising Sun, and we can see how dirty and run down the barn had become. In this photo, see those two doors in the very back in the shadows? Here is that same view now. Staff was hired to take care of the horses, and the barn got a much-needed makeover. Graceland takes in rescue horses and has become a horse sanctuary in addition to a museum. The horses are outside for 6 hours while their stalls are cleaned daily. Want to see the barn's hayloft? I thought this photo of Lisa and her twins with the horses was really sweet. Jim, Scatter. Matt Hill asks, was Scatter buried at Graceland? Any other pets? So Elvis got the chimpanzee Scatter in 1961, and after he started misbehaving, he was kept at a distance. According to housekeeper Mary Jenkins, Scatter lived behind Graceland in a small, one-room, air-conditioned house with a window and a 12-foot fence surrounding it, but I don't have any pictures of that. It was the staff's responsibility to feed him, but they didn't like him because his behavior was unpredictable. Scatter died in that little house, either from a broken heart, cirrhosis of the liver, or maybe he was even poisoned. But from what I've read, he was buried on the Graceland grounds. Other animals were buried on the property as well. There were actually 2 Edmonds, both tan-colored Pomeranians, but the original was Elvis's dog that he gave to his Aunt Delta because the dog liked her better. That original dog died in 1986 and is buried at Graceland. Housekeeper Nancy Rooks shared this photo in her book Inside Graceland of Delta watering his little grave. I don't know where this is on the property, but at the very bottom you can see a stone plaque. Edmund was soon replaced with an identical. I don't know when the second one died, but here might be his little grave in this photo. There is a stone name plaque in the planter box that says Edmund. It's out in the open if you look carefully right here in the patio behind the house. Just a few days later, after the first Edmund died in 1986, he was followed by Elvis's golden palomino, Rising Sun. He is buried in the pasture facing east toward the rising sun. I imagine more pets are buried at Graceland, but these are the only ones I've seen discussed. Gaines says, I often wonder about the houses and trailers on the grounds behind the mansion. The trailers on the grounds is something that still confuses me, but I will do my best to share my understanding. So let's get oriented with where they are in this aerial shot of the property. Elvis Presley Boulevard runs along the bottom of this picture. At the bottom left, the red brick building is the former Graceland Christian Church, now EPE offices. There's the long, looping driveway of Graceland with a couple of shuttles in front of the house. You can see the pool to the right, with the meditation garden to the right of that. So that's where we're familiar with. If one of those shuttles went up the driveway along the left side of the house, you'd pass the Annex, or the VIP exhibit, on the right. Then Vernon's office on the right with a garage behind it. At the top, at the curve, just at where the fence line is, This is where the new Graceland Archive experience is located. That was added in 2014. Along the drive to the end of the property, you pass the trailers that are located at the top left in this picture. Here is a screenshot that I took from a YouTube video all about Graceland, but unfortunately I can't remember which one. I wish I could credit them because this one really helped me. This is a close-up aerial view of the trailers that are still there today. You can see the houses that are behind Graceland. There's a path behind the guest house hotel that leads to this fence on the left. Tony says, I would love to know about the rear entrance to Graceland, what it looks like, access, etc. And are the portable homes still on the site at Graceland after all these years? There were often fans at the gates, so Elvis used a side driveway, or secret driveway, to come and go discreetly. Here is Elvis and his friends riding down that private road in the mid-1970s. Let's see where this is. Here's a look at the property from Google Earth. This time Elvis Presley runs along the left side of the photo. The mansion is in the middle, and of course it faces Elvis Presley Boulevard. This one actually gives a look at everything you might be curious about. At the bottom is Dolan Drive, where Vernon Presley lived for many years. His house is the second to the last on the street. You can see his swimming pool is overgrown and green. There's a fence around it, but to the right of the swimming pool is Graceland's barn. That very last house on Dolan Drive at the bottom right of your screen is Gary Pepper's former house. So directly across from the barn and Vernon's house at the top right of the picture is the new Archive Experience building and the little cul-de-sac that the shuttle turns around in. The trailers are really close to that new building. See the path that runs in between the trailer area and the Archive building at the top right? It turns onto a path that runs all along the top of the picture, past the former church, which is now the EPE offices, and leads you back out onto the main road. Now let's see how that looks on the ground. I made this quick screen recording so you can see where the secret driveway is in relation to Graceland's gates. If you stand facing the gates, it is to your left, so let's travel next door and take a look. This is the old Graceland Christian Church, and the road that runs along the left of it is where Elvis would drive. This is private property, by the way. You can walk on the sidewalk, but you can't access their private property. And it is right across the street from the airplanes. And that is it. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you to everyone who contributed questions. That was really fun to make. See you guys in my next video.